I'm escaping to the one place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism. Space!
Hey there, welcome to the Hidden Chest, and would you look at that? It's Time UFO. Gig economy represent. Woo. This is the latest romp from HAL Laboratories on the Nintendo Switch, ported over from a 2-year-old mobile phone release of all things. This is a pretty unique situation. One can't help but wonder what will come of it. Is it an unfortunately failed opportunity or an ultimate franchise opener? Let's take a look, shall we? Now, much to Tim Curry's detriment, yes, this is a video game about space capitalism. You're a sentient UFO named Jobski. Having a job is a very generic thing to name your kid after, but I'm not one to judge a UFO's weirdo parents. The main goal here is completing said jobs, either alone or with a friend. The entire game takes a mission-based format. Somebody wants you to stack a thing, you stack the thing, get paid. Yeah, it's pretty great. Some might be tempted to say that this is some sort of crane game, taking a cue from Nintendo Badge Arcade or something similar. But while that may be true in a literal sense, that's not really what this game is about. Unlike a claw machine, the goal here isn't picking the stuff up. That's the easy part. You've got a really strong grip, and if it looks like you can grab something, you absolutely can. This game is actually all about stacking. It's honestly more comparable to the physics-based games you'd play on your school computer because having physics in the website title exempted it from the block list. Basically, the entire game is based around playing with that physics engine and also putting you in a ton of crazy scenarios. When it comes to actual inputs, all you need to do is move around with the control stick and use the A button to grab and release with the crane. Needless to say, this game is very easy to get a grip on. But of course, it has a wicked high skill ceiling, grabbing pieces at certain spots to rotate them, utilizing the sway of your crane to get pieces in just the right positions, taking weight and momentum into account, and using your brain muscles to find the optimal stacking strategies. It all plays like a silk touch, and nothing felt frustrating in any way, except for the laboratory missions and Ocean 3 hard mode, but that's just because I'm stupid. Oh yeah, and speaking of the laboratory kicking my cargo hold, look at all the places you'll go. From fishing off the coast, balancing hamsters in an all-animal circus, creating a Japanese pagoda while being attacked by ninjas. It's all great, and the art style is just perfect for it. You can tell the devs put a lot of love into this game, even visually. Most of the background characters react to just about everything you do, and there are so many wacky situations you can be put in, and within them there are hundreds of different types of objects you can pick up. Seriously, there are so many gags and Easter eggs. Like, no joke, they hid Kirby in every single level. Also, there are Kirby plushies, and that makes me squee.
There he is!
Heck, there are 30 alternate costumes you can buy and unlock, and every single one of them has a unique emote. The Player 2 character even gets a unique variation of every single one of them. Like in this costume, Player 1 can cosplay as the Great Monkey King, Sun Wukong. Player 2 gets to be Zhu Beiji, you know, the pig guy. According to Wikipedia, one of his main character traits is being stupid. Ooh, Player 1 is a fancy gentleman. Look at him twirl his cane. But Player 2 gets a steampunk variation, who still twirls a cane. Oh hey, they put a costume of me in the game too. How considerate. And some of these costumes even affect the physics of your UFO. Sometimes they help you, sometimes it's a bit of a self-handicap for the sake of challenge, and sometimes it's a little bit of both. Also, side note, the shopkeeper is absolutely adorable. This game seems oddly intimate for a AAA studio game. Like in the game's achievement system, if you fill out a grid, you unlock a cute little animation, and the game's like, it's not much, but it is whimsical. And it's like, that is a good reward. It's okay, part-time UFO for the Nintendo Switch. You can even share the results of each level on Twitter, and when you do, you get a nice little illustration based on the level you're on. Thanks for sharing. It's just so cute. You can tell they really care about this. But of course, a game can't get by on cuteness alone, and since this was based on a mobile game, I did have my worries on the amount of content this would offer. Of course, there are no microtransactions in either release, cause, you know, if there was, I wouldn't even be talking about this. But the Nintendo Switch release doubles the price of the original? I can only wonder if it's worth the buy-in. Well, let's see here. We've got 30 missions to start with, and within each mission is 3 side goals you can complete. On almost all of them, getting done in a set time limit is one of those missions, and is very important to getting a full payout, but the other 2 can be God knows what. Like seriously, what is this thing and why won't it stop following me? These are really varied and fun to go after, and if you get them all in one go, you get a little shooting star on the menu. But the real meat here is that if you get all the medals in a level, you get a new, harder version of that level to try and complete. These levels can be exceptionally different from their original counterparts and bring the total level count up to 60. There's Tower to Infinity, a tower building simulator that gets crazier and crazier the higher you go. It is very addicting. And then there's the pre-mentioned achievement system. For all you completionists out there, you have a lot of goals you can work towards. This isn't without fault, unfortunately. The hard mode levels do this weird thing where they don't track your accomplishments on them. Like, unlike with the original, the game doesn't keep track of whether you completed the special challenges on these or not, and doesn't really do anything once you've beaten one of them. Like, seriously, the only way to tell if you've beaten a hard mode level is to open it up and check and see if you have a high score. Aside from a couple achievements based on generally completing all of these, the game weirdly barely acknowledges their existence despite how much effort was clearly put into them. And finally, the hats are awesome, but if you're going for a completion route, you run out of things to buy very quickly. Kinda wish there was more stuff to buy, like maybe the Player 2 costumes for single player. Also, the shopkeep says once she sells everything, she's going on vacation. But once you buy everything, she does not go on vacation. This is the greatest crime, and I unfortunately had to deduct 4 points from my final review score. But like, when it comes to complaints, that's pretty much it. If you rush through every level, this game may not be worth the value, but part-time UFO isn't really meant to be played that way, I think. It's all about mastering the craft. The spacecraft, that is. You know, while I was thinking of all these incredibly funny jokes, I think I forgot something. Oh yeah, the island treasure hunt. Once you beat the game, you unlock this mode, and while the trailers hype it up a fair bit, it's honestly kinda disappointing, but also simultaneously incredibly interesting and weird. If I were to describe this mode, it's like if somebody made a short proof of concept for a spin-off or sequel to Part-Time UFO, and then put it in the original as a goof. Like, it's so different. It turns the mission-based stacking of the base game into an adventure-esque dungeon crawler for approximately 2 rooms and a boss fight. Yeah, that's it. There are a ton of new mechanics around this mode, collecting my logo, stacking things to unlock doors, and quite a few distinct puzzles and hazards not seen anywhere else in the game. But it's just so weirdly short for all the effort that went into it. Like, I genuinely think this was just an experiment the devs were screwing around with in regards to a sequel or something, but then they bailed on it and decided to still include what they had as a bit of bonus content. And as a bonus, it's a neat little thing, but it's not necessarily a lot. The game does try to extend this by making you need to get through the whole thing in one go, and forcing you to buy tickets for every try, but yeah, it's odd. Fan theory time. If this was a proof of concept like I predicted, the first level was probably meant to represent what an early dungeon would look like, and the second level represents what the end game would look like. They both fit the look, and the jump in difficulty between the two is an absolute monster. But whatever this was supposed to be, I think it shows what the future of this series could potentially look like. And yeah, I am fairly confident this will become a series. I mean, the devs clearly loved making this game and put a ton of heart into it. And look at Hal's other side series, Box Boy. You know, the series that this game references religiously. We got Box Boy, Box Boy, Bye Bye Box Boy, and Box Boy and Box Girl, plus an amiibo only released in Japan. HAL Laboratories is very much capable of pumping these out when they want to, and they clearly have a lot of ideas for Time UFO. Aside from a complete sales catastrophe, we'll absolutely see Jobski again. Godspeed. I fully expect this guy to be playable in Smash 8. And really, why wouldn't you want to see more of this? This game is charming as heck. The gameplay is addicting and polished, and there's plenty of stuff to sink your teeth into. And with the addition of 3 new base levels, 30 new hard mode levels, Tower to Infinity, Island Adventure, Universal Couch Co-op, achievements, and even a few new costumes, as well as generally more polish and better controls, I think this game justifies its price over the original pretty well, and in general, I guess. Nintendo doesn't make as many of these low-budget experimental new IPs as I think they should, and unfortunately, they usually absolutely refuse to give these kinds of games any kind of decent marketing. Like, remember the Stretchers? That game Nintendo shadow dropped and then forgot about immediately? One can only hope that Time UFO doesn't suffer the same fate. So, if this game looks like it's up your alley, give it a shot. When it comes to new IPs, this one's a winner.